So it's ongoing work. The positioning of the NSA is critical. The understanding in terms of the role of why statistics are important. We need to constantly come into the mainstream. The public discourse need to engage this number. It cannot be removed from them because it's about them.
Okay. Well, at least now we've come to understand where the board's position is in terms of the NSA. We understand the vision of the organization now at least. And that was Mr. Salomo Hay, the new NSA board chairperson. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching. Please join us again next time. Till then, from me, Nelson Ashipala, it's goodbye.
In last week's episode, we heard the tragic tale of how Aldo Timbo and his pregnant wife, Tuli Timbo, lamented the violation of their human rights and their disappointment in the country's justice system after they were arrested and charged with possession and cultivation of marijuana. Here's some of what cannabis activist Aldo Timbo said.
I've been there, gas ran out more than 3 times. It takes 3-4 days for them to fill it. Where does the money go to? Become like a big store where you hold people. Why don't you leave us in our little places where we behold and let us come to court then if it is a criminal case you want us to be. But now you put us in prison to try kill us slowly, or are you trying to get justice? Because if it was justice that the Namibian system is after, they would test every inmate that they bring in, because they know that it's Corona, it's the COVID time. They want the country and the people of Namibia to take COVID so serious, but yet the lawmakers and the enforcers of the law don't do that. Prisoners was just brought and thrown into a cell. Doesn't matter where you come from now, if you have it or not. 5 cases arose from all those cases. Police couldn't move inmates because some of these inmates are gang affiliated. And they threatened police, because recently we know that police got stabbed by inmates and they have that fear. So police are being ruled and controlled to carry contraband into prison, cell phone into prison, all the luxuries of outside. The police same time give it back to the criminals inside. So I don't know what the law reform is trying to change, while we know we've got the crooks now in uniform. So before people is concerned about cannabis now, they should first be concerned about the society at whole, at large, how they want to go forward to govern us as a people. Because the way the police chief and head of staff is devaluing and lowering themselves to invite inmates for a fist fight. If he should be the head of police, we understand that he should be trained in handling and controlling such kind of things. If the police are the worst now, they should rehabilitate inmates. How would inmates change? How would you control crime? How would you bring a change? That's why you come on petty crimes like cannabis, Rastafarian community, because we're non-violent people. So you have to fight us because of one thing, our use of sacrament, cannabis.
Inspector Ileni Shapumba is the head of the Community Policing Division at NAMPO, with public relations falling under his jurisdiction. I put some of the allegations made by Aldo to him and asked him about the living conditions of trial-awaiting inmates.
I can tell you we are part of the Namibian police force. The police force that the public should champion. The police force that the public should promote and feel proud of having their own police force. We are part of the system. We are working under the principles of delivering excellent policing for a safer Namibia. One of the most important policing issue is human rights, respect for human rights. And that is what we have been up to, promoting and protecting the rights of citizens. We know the rights of citizens in terms of Article 12, Article 11. Article 11 talking about arrest and detention, 12, fair trial. Nobody shall be presumed innocent. Everybody shall be presumed innocent until proven guilty. That's a very important principle that we are anchoring our conducts on, or principles. Those allegations of human rights violations, I do not know, I have not heard of any from Hofstra. There were some sort of a misunderstanding in Swakopmund, at Swakopmund police station, in the holding cells. There were inmates that became unruly, not following the rules and regulations. As we speak, we are investigating the case of malicious damage to state properties, where inmates went to an extent of damaging the whole kitchen that was supposed to cook food. And we cannot say because of 3 inmates, the rest of the inmates must not eat at the cells. But I'm saying that if there are any issues pertaining to violation of human rights, we believe those whose rights have been violated have that right to go and open criminal cases. We have opened cases. The cases are going to court, malicious damage to state properties. We have not violated anybody. If we are here to save the issue of violation of human rights, we could have been accused of violating human rights at all the cells. We are not only taking inmates at one police station. Why only that particular station?
I mentioned that Thuli reported the case of an asthmatic woman who died in the Narraville police cells, possibly due to exposure, as she said it was very cold in there.
When you call it a reality, I think I should look at that word for a reality. Those are allegations which need to be proven or disproven. But we are saying that we respect human rights. If there are problems at the cells, we are visiting the cells as senior officers. Myself, I also visited most of the cells, the stationing cells, in few weeks when I was on duty. If there are issues of that nature, those issues should be reported to the police station commander. If the station commander is unable to attend to them, they should be reported to the officers that are visiting the cells, and even to the regional commander. But it's a question of how do these people then give this information out that need to be looked at. Because some of the people that are even giving this information are the people that are at the cells. But we can tell you a cell, a police cells cannot be compared to a hotel. It's not a hotel. It's a police holding cell. Unfortunately, that is the standard that we are able to provide. If we need to urge, is maybe people need to behave themselves properly in the communities there, so that we can avoid situations of crime that are leading to arrest and detention in the cells. But we are saying that in as much as we are also advocating against commission of crime, we are saying those that are arrested, in as much as they have those rights, should be treated as human beings. If there are issues of violation of human rights, we should be informed about them. We have internal investigations within the police that can investigate them, can investigate those matters. But not mere allegations that are not based on any grounds.
I then asked him to respond to Aldo's allegation that the inmates were not even tested for COVID when he was incarcerated.
But why did he not come to raise that issue with us? Because we are not aware of it. Yeah, he must come and raise that issue. We are not aware of that. But overcrowding, that's another issue. Obviously, people committing crime, where must we keep them? We have not built new cells ever since. But people continue to commit crimes, where must we put them?
I also asked him why women awaiting trial that are arrested in Swakopmund are brought to Walfish Bay.
We don't detain them at the Swakopmund, we detain them at Narraville. We have facilities for women. We don't mix women with men. I think that person is not talking. Yeah, there's no detention facility for women in Swakopmund. We detain them in Narraville. That's more safer and convenient. All other women are there. Look, it should not be seen as if detention is a dangerous thing. In actual fact, we should interpret detention in a positive manner as well. If you have committed a crime and you are arrested, then detained and taken to court as a procedure. You should also see it as if you are in a safe custody, because you're in a safe custody actually. If you committed a crime in society, the society does not approve your conduct. If you are left today in society, what will happen to you? Do people see that from that angle?
Hi there, parents. Do you have primary school kids and want them to get extra quality supplementary lessons to up their grades? Then simply switch to One Africa TV's #LearnOn1, where your kids can get maths, English and science lessons every weekday from 9 to 11 a.m. with repeats from 2 to 4 p.m. And thanks to NMH's My Zone, these lessons are 100% Namibian. There's so much to learn with #LearnOn1. Invite learning in.
Have a ball this festive season with brand new entertainment. Get warm and fuzzy as we relive the perfect family Christmas again and again.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, Dad.
Ride the lightning with Wonder Woman as she saves the world once more.
Have you ever been in love?
A long, long time ago.
And kick up a sweat as a kung fu master defends his family against dangerous gangsters.
Got that? Got it. Got it.
Watch brand new entertainment even on the app by getting and staying connected to DSTV.
Angela Prusa, chairperson of the Cannabis and Hemp Association of Namibia, has long been lobbying government to legalize marijuana and shared her thoughts on the frequent arrests of cannabis users and dealers in Namibia via WhatsApp.
It's quite shocking in which violent manner the police is acting towards these individuals in comparison to the crime that is being committed. Because essentially, you need, for a crime to have been committed, there needs to be a victim. And when we look at the majority of cannabis arrests in Namibia, there is no victim. It is purely someone in the privacy of their own home choosing to smoke or consume a plant that is essentially beneficial to our bodies. So the issue here is that it totally and utterly as well inflicts and infringes on our human rights. And what is even more worrying in a country like Namibia, where we have such high statistics of murder and rape and child abuse and child neglect and addiction, is that the resources that are available are being wrongly used. So the police is targeting cannabis users. And, you know, sometimes you have 4 police cars and you have a whole drug squad team that rock up at people's houses. And what they will confiscate as evidence is, you know, sometimes maybe 10, 20, 30 grams of cannabis, or sometimes a small cannabis plant. Sometimes that plant is hemp. And that costs thousands of Namibian dollars, not even to mention the fact that then the taxpayer is paying for this, but also the taxpayer is paying for that person to be taken to the holding cells and spend however many days in the holding cells, because generally, you know, arrests are being made on a Thursday so that the person has to spend the whole weekend in jail, which is being paid for by the taxpayer. On Monday, they go to the courts, which is paid for by the taxpayer. Then they go back to the prison. Then they have to do a bail application. So all of these resources could be utilized by protecting the public, could be utilized by serving the public, could be utilized in investigations for murder and rape, and actually showing up when these things happen. Because there's so many examples within our community where when there has been a violent crime committed, when there is a victim and that victim is a human being and that human being has been hurt by someone else, whether that's being raped, being murdered, being assaulted, the police has no resources to show up for that. Yet when it comes to a plant that is being used where there is no harm done to any victim, the police comes out in full force. So if we change that narrative, if we, take the resources that are currently being spent on cannabis in Namibia and we redirect them to deal with the actual problems, we will actually see positive change in our society. So I think this is a really, really important point, when we look at how people are treated, cannabis users are treated in Namibia, how violently their arrests are, and how the infringement and the total violation and disregard of their human right, the resources could be much better used because we have an issue with violence in our community in Namibia. And the other thing as well is the fact that, we have an issue with substance abuse in Namibia. I mean, even alcohol, alcohol and tobacco are more dangerous and more harmful to the user and the community than cannabis. And this is a fact. This is not a debate. This is not a discussion. This is a fact.
Angela is of the mindset that alcohol and tobacco have far more adverse effects, and what we really need to heal as a society is our collective trauma.
Alcohol is not very well regulated, and we see this in our society because the amount of damage that alcohol does, starting from domestic violence to child abuse to violent interactions between people, to car accidents, to health issues, it's a massive problem, and yet we don't have a properly regulated structure around alcohol. The fact that there's so much illegal brewing of alcohol going on, and this is, negatively affecting the communities, that needs to be revised in itself. But it is legal and it is regulated, and this is what cannabis as a substance should as well be. It should be legal and it should be regulated, especially because it is essentially, not comparable to alcohol in the fact that cannabis has great therapeutic potential. The cannabis plant is being utilized as a medicine. So this as well, this is a major issue, is where we have some substances are legal and regulated and other substances are illegal and create danger to the user for using them. When you have a substance that is illegal, people need to smuggle this substance. People are trying to grow the strongest and create, the strongest version of that substance to sell to their clients. And because it is illegal and criminalization is, always, like a shadow walking next to you in, when you are, whether you're dealing or utilizing those substances, people it's the same when alcohol was prohibited. People weren't drinking beer when alcohol was prohibited. People were drinking moonshine and, like Witblitz and really strong alcohol because of the prohibition of it. So this is the same with cannabis. Cannabis is coming from the north and from the south, and it needs to be smuggled across borders. So people are growing it You know, no one has any idea how their cannabis is being grown or what is being put into it. It is being smuggled across borders, so it's being contaminated with chemicals that mask the smell for it to be smuggled across borders. And then very often it is mixed with substances to make it stronger, more effective, or more addictive to the user. So all of these things in a regulated and legal market, you take those dangers away. You know, you are able to be transparent about how the substance was grown that people are going to be consuming, about, you know, what the strength and the potency of that substance is, so people can make informed choices. This already takes dangers, you know, away from that substance. So this is why prohibition, you know, the prohibition of cannabis, the criminalization of cannabis is essentially more harmful and more dangerous than the substance itself. Essentially the war on drugs that we have going on has not yielded any results at all. There's not less drugs on the street. People are not taking less drugs. People are taking more drugs. So we need to look at a different approach. And instead of a criminal approach, there needs to be a health approach. Because I think a really important factor as well to be considered is that in Namibia, you know, addiction is a huge problem. But the addiction that we see is a direct result of the trauma that people have experienced, you know, and there has never been a health angle to, you know, or a psychological angle to help people process, you know, this generational trauma that people have experienced in Namibia from colonization and apartheid, etc. So if there's all this unresolved trauma, addiction, you know, and as well as the unresolved trauma, the amount of poverty and lack of opportunities, this creates the perfect, you know, like growing conditions for addiction.
I can't wait to get home to another episode of breathtaking drama. Yeah. No, wait, to get home and watch reality shows that get you on the edge. And all the action-kicking movies. Sounds like a plan. Oh, wait, there's more. I need to get home to watch breathtaking drama reality shows that have no chill, action-kicking movies, cartoons that keep my baby smiling, watch music videos, and the WWE with my superstar. Sounds like everything.
There's a lot to watch on GoTV. Your favorite series, talkies, movies, and kid shows are all in one destination. So get and stay connected to GoTV.
Every Saturday at 7 p.m., you can stay true to Namibia sounds with the Valentine's True Music Sessions. Only on 99 FM. Stay tuned. Stay true. There's no wrong way. Valentine's. Not for sale to persons under the age of 18. Drink responsibly.
Nampol Inspector Eleni Shapumba answered some questions about the conditions of trial-awaiting inmates at the Swakopmund and Walfish Bay police stations. I asked him why prisoners don't have cutlery and crockery.
How safe are those items in the cells, those utensils in the cells? They can use them to fight one another. In as much as I can tell you, we are really trying our level best under the circumstances to respect human rights, and there is an issue of dignified living there. In as much as we can, but I'm saying if there are issues of that nature, we visit the cells every day. We don't pick up those issues. Why are they not being brought under our attention?
I asked him again whether inmates are tested for COVID before being locked up.
We are not medical doctors, because testing is an issue of medical doctors. What we do is at least to make sure that those that are coming in, the new ones, are kept in a separate cell for a certain period of time, observing them, and then they can be put later, when you can see really that there is no ground for infecting others. It cannot be an issue because we do not have people with COVID in our cells. If we had people that have died of COVID or people are suffering from COVID, maybe we can discuss it. But as for now, we have taken precautionary measures to make sure that we prevent as much as possible. If there are people that are suspecting or saying that we do not do that, I think it needs to be proven otherwise. But we are trying our level best.
Whilst he directed my questions about the increased police brutality the citizens of Namibia have seen even before those Skopski donor operations, Kalahari and Namib Desert, or whatever they were called, to a higher authority, he did have this to say.
No, that one, I think you should verify with the Deputy Commissioner Shikombi if it's on a national level. I speak for Rombo and I say we have minimum cases of that nature. Those allegations that were made, cases were opened, and there are other investigations. Where you find human beings, there will be crash, obviously. There will be tension. There will be issues of that nature. But they need to be reported, be investigated, and the situation need to be addressed. But I need to remind the public also to say we should not expect to have a police force that is really weak. Weak that it submits to every issue of the public. That's not a police force that we should be proud of as a country. We should be proud of our force when the force is able to stand up and react and bring order. Not a force that should be controlled by the public. If we are driving towards a situation in which the public will just stand up and say police and the police keep quiet, I think that's a situation that will never be favorable for our country or for our region. So we need to respect the officers when they are doing their work. We should behave ourselves in an orderly manner. We have not gone to people's houses. There are pastors here, there are teachers here, there is managers here. We never heard them complaining of wrong behavior towards the police. But there are certain individuals that is a question of your behavior that lead the whole situation to happen. So we need to control our conduct as members of the public, how we behave towards the police officers that are just doing their work. And when there are police officers that are really not acting properly, there should be a way as to how we address those issues.
The Cannabis and Hemp Association's Angela Prusa is adamant that criminalization is not the answer for a number of reasons.
We have no opportunity for people to even engage in asking for help because we have a lack of social workers. We have a lack of outreach programs. We have, as well, the fact that the majority of substances are illegal. People don't tend to ask for help. So, and the other thing as well is we have one rehab facility in Namibia that is government state run, which is in Windhoek, which has a minimal intake of people and is still at 1,500 Rand per 5-week intake, is not affordable for the majority of people in Namibia. So these are all really important factors when we discuss the legalization of cannabis. The legalization of cannabis for me and for the association, the Cannabis and Hemp Association, and I think for many people who are wanting the same, is not about, we just all want to be smoking dacha on the street. But even that, if we all want to be smoking dacha, that's also okay. That should be our right, In a society, we need to tolerate each other's choices in life. And we have rights to partake, or we have autonomy over our own body, to choose to engage in the religion that we want to choose to eat the food that we want to choose to ingest substances that we want to as consenting adults, as long as our actions do not harm the society or our community around us, we should be free to do, to partake in our religion, in our choice of substance use to relax after work. I think this is, and we need to be tolerant of each other in doing that. Some people don't drink. Some people find, alcohol offensive, yet they need to tolerate that their neighbor might like to engage, or drink alcohol after work to relax. And it is the exact same thing for cannabis. We need to be tolerant of the person wanting to use cannabis. I think, the evidence for cannabis and the potential benefit of cannabis to an economy, the potential of cannabis as a therapeutic substance, all of this evidence is there. You know, there's been years and years of studies done on cannabis and on, you know, the safety of it and on the potential of it and how it works as a plant. There's not a lack of research. There's not a lack of evidence. A lot of the stigma and a lot of the, you know, what do we call it? Like, you know, when the dramatization of how dangerous cannabis is, all of this has been disputed.